In deference to Thanksgiving, I thought I'd do a video entitled Thinking Out Loud. I wanted to express my gratitude for all the strange coincidences that Providence used to shape our modern world and to bring us together. Genealogists say that everyone alive now has roughly 1 million ancestors if you trace back to the year 1500. Of course, you can't have 100% of their DNA. It shuffles out as you travel down the generations. So you might have a great-grandfather who by this point you have none of the DNA of. Yet ironically, if he never existed, you wouldn't exist. All of these people had to come into contact in one way or another, or you would never have existed. Imagine the sheer number of coincidences that had to happen for you to be alive right now. Almost 100 years ago, author Thomas Wolfe started out his novel Look Homeward, Angel with the passage, "A destiny that leads the English to the Dutch is strange enough, but one that leads from Epsom into Pennsylvania, and thence into the hills that shut in Altamont over the proud choral cry of the cock and the soft stone smile of the angel, is touched by that dark miracle of chance that makes new magic in a dusty world. Each of us is all the sums he has not counted. Subtract us into nakedness and night again, and you shall see begin in Crete 4,000 years ago the love that ended yesterday in Texas. The seed of our destruction will blossom in the desert. The election of our cure grows by a mountain rock, and our lives are haunted by a Georgia slattern because a London cut purse went unhung. Each moment is the fruit of 40,000 years. The minute-winning days like flies buzz home to death, and every moment is a window on all time. This is a moment." And then he starts the novel after framing his particular neck of the woods within the context of eternity. I like the phrase about how these coincidences make new magic in a dusty world, and how something that began in Crete 4,000 years ago culminated in a love that ended yesterday in Texas, or how a Georgia slattern was alive because a London cut purse went unhanged several generations before. All of us are like this, the fruit of 40,000 years, and we stand in a country likewise that owes its existence to a series of coincidences, like Christopher Columbus, thinking he would reach East Asia and instead accidentally discovering a new world. I also like little coincidences sprinkled in here and there in our founding, like how when Thomas Jefferson was dying on, of all dates, July 4th, 1826, he said, "At least John Adams is still alive," not knowing that at that very moment, Adams too was dying. So both men died on the 4th of July, the date of the founding of the country they created, and exactly 50 years after the Declaration of Independence. James Monroe, the 5th president, would also die on the 4th of July a few years later in 1831. So many strange coincidences combined to make our country possible. Though leftists, in their revisionist version of our history, claim that Europeans killed the Indians with diseases, in reality, there had been a mass depopulation event centuries before Columbus came as native diseases thinned Aboriginal populations, as the New York Times reports in the article, "Don't Blame Columbus for All the Indians' Ills." They write, "The epidemics that resulted have been well documented. What had not been clearly recognized until now, though, is that the general health of Native Americans had apparently been deteriorating for centuries before 1492. That is the conclusion of a team of anthropologists, economists, and paleopathologists who have completed a wide-ranging study of the health of people living in the Western Hemisphere in the last 7,000 years. So when the Pilgrims showed up, they encountered a shockingly empty continent. Without that coincidence, it's unlikely that Europeans could have colonized the place so easily. Not only did the Europeans notice its emptiness, but so did other Indians, because when the Pilgrims showed up in Plymouth, they were greeted by an Algonquin Indian named Samoset, who shocked them by greeting them in English, saying welcome, and then asking them for beer. Samoset had previously been kidnapped by Spaniards, escaped to England, where he learned English, and then returned to America to look for his old village, which, to his sadness, had already died out before the English showed up. The land where he grew up was empty, so Samoset helped the new settlers. He wanted to trade deerskins with them, but since it was the Sabbath, the Puritans didn't want to work on Sunday, so instead, they offered food to Samoset and 5 Indians he brought back with him, and the origins for the first dim outlines of what we call Thanksgiving came blurrily into focus for the first time. So many coincidences had to happen for us to be here today. There's a quote, usually attributed to Heidi Quaid, that goes something to the effect of, "Coincidences are those little miracles that God does anonymously." So today is a good day for thinking out loud, thanking God for those coincidences that brought us together. Thanks, Dennis, Gary, Annika, Caden, Joe, Ginny, Sid, Sony, Max, Astrid, Claire, Ryan, Matt, and so many others. Thanks, and God bless you all. By the way, check out the bookazine Trump World. It's a special collector's edition from the New American Magazine, highlighting aspects of the MAGAverse that you might not have known about. It's insightful, beautifully produced, and makes a great stocking stuffer. Putting the MAGA in magazine, be sure to get your copy today.